We just got back from watching Batman, or The Batman. The Batman. We have myself, John. We have Scott.
Hello.
And Chris went to go see it. Cody decided to sit this one out because he's a pleb. He doesn't like us as much as he used to 5 years ago.
He's a Marvel shill, is what it is.
Yep, that's true. I hate DC, and I won't patron it. So I will act as the voice of the audience, occasionally interrupting everybody and bringing the review to a halt so that I can poke holes at everything you say.
And I'm sure he'll be asking the questions that you guys are thinking. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a spoiler-free review before we really start to dig into it. Some pros and cons for it, some kind of like a general how we felt. But without further ado, how did you guys feel about the movie? What's your overall thoughts of it?
You don't want to go first?
I'll absolutely go first.
You go first.
Okay, well, it felt like DC was trying to make a statement to me. I noticed that this wasn't gonna be like a Marvel movie. They pulled way far away from that in the superhero genre. This was that dark, gritty Batman that you know. A lot of the scenes were darker. There wasn't a lot of joking around. There wasn't any ha-ha funny moments. This was, to me, DC saying, hey, we're not Marvel. We're not trying to be like Marvel. And to an extent, I actually really liked it. Overall, I thought it was a good movie. It was different from what I was actually expecting, but I'd say it's a movie worth going to see. Chris?
See, for me, I totally get that, and I understand it. It seems like a art house superhero movie. It's supposed to not be for like mainstream audiences, but somebody decided to give a unknown artsy director a bunch of money, and this is what they made.
An unknown artsy Matt Reeves.
I'm just saying that's how it seems like, because it just seems like I would have gone to Sundance to watch it. It did seem a bit long though.
Oh, that's actually a really good point.
Yeah,
it was
first and foremost, it is 3 hours. This is a 3-hour long movie,
and not like an action-packed movie. It's like a noir film.
2 hours and 56 minutes to be precise, plus credits.
And it feels like it. It definitely feels like it.
Here's where I'm going to slightly disagree. I don't think it did feel. It felt like 3 hours, but I didn't get a single bit of drag. Every single scene led into the next scene, and it was a genuine, like, I guess the thing I would say is this is a Batman movie. Like, it's called The Batman. This is a Batman movie. He is a detective, and he kicks people's ass sometimes, but I didn't even feel all that pumped and excited for the action scenes. I was like, oh yeah, look at him solve this mystery. Yeah! Solve the mystery, Batman! And I think if you're a Batman fan, obviously you're going to want to see this movie. But I think if you're a fan of just plot and mystery, this is like a good one. I think it's a good movie.
Well, you've already made me generate some questions.
Yeah.
So first off, I want to say, based on what all three of you have said, given me being a Marvel shill who is so tired of shilling for Marvel, hearing that there is actual, like, detective work, that it's like an art house film, that it's going in a completely different direction, that it's gritty and dark, that makes me interested in this movie. Does this have anything to do with the DC extended universe?
So this by itself is a standalone film. You don't need to see anything else.
He's been Batman in this film for 2 years.
It feels like this movie was him coming to terms with it.
Yeah.
Changing from, oh, this is just my hobby I do on weekends, to I'm fully committing to this, being the Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You catch on, like, early on in the movie that he is more Batman than he is Bruce Wayne.
Okay.
Something I noticed in the music as well, the music was pretty good. It was pretty great. Whenever they have this thing that happens several times throughout the movie where Batman will be like silhouetted, or he's in the shadow, he's about to come out, and they get the dun dun dun,
and he's walking with the beat.
And but whenever he's Bruce Wayne, it's always like they stray away from that beat, dun dun dun, and it turns from brass to him being like, I don't know. I'm not a music guy, but I just noticed that whenever he's Bruce Wayne and not Batman, like at the very end there,
it has these lighter notes to it.
At the very end there, he's looking in the mirror at the person going away, and he's like, you hear the Bruce Wayne theme, thinking like that way is Bruce Wayne,
Mm-hmm.
and he's going towards Batman.
Okay.
So it uses the
musical
leitmotifs
cues.
in it to
I
separate.
mean, I'm not a music guy. I don't even know what leitmotifs mean.
They use a particular progression of notes to distinguish between Batman and Bruce.
I thought
They
so.
are
It was just one of those things I noticed, and I was like, huh,
I would say
that made me feel smart.
I would say the music silhouetted the movie very well.
That makes me think that you were really interested in this movie.
I was.
Because you are the last person that I would expect
Absolutely.
to make that point.
I
about the
enjoyed
music.
this movie quite a lot.
So let's start from...
Yeah, we get from plot. Should we start?
Sure. Yeah.
We're going to
Absolutely.
sidle a little bit into spoilers right now. Okay? So, viewer,
Okay.
if you've been convinced, I think you stop right now and go see it. Otherwise, here we go. So, the beginning scene was pretty fantastic, at least if you ask me. It's October 31st in Gotham, and we see several people committing some sort of crime.
Whether it be burglary,
Like
vandalism,
that's the word.
like any sort of crime.
Batman is talking to the audience about how we made a signal to show when I was needed, but then it became something to warn people that I was near. And we see these people who are doing vandalism. We're like, oh shit, it's the bat symbol, and they get scared. Then we see the guy, and they see, oh, it was so cool. The robber, he's like pointing a gun, and he runs away with the loot from the convenience store, and then he sees the bat symbol, and then he looks, and there's just shadow. And Robert Pattinson is like, they think I'm behind every corner, in the shadows, lurking, and he's just watching. And the guy gets scared, and he runs away.
And gets hit by a car.
And the same thing happens with the vandalism boys.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, but it's a big city. I can't be everywhere.
And it cuts to a train scene.
And there's a bunch of people, like a gang members or something, with like clown makeup.
Yeah, they have like white
ICP.
white paint on their face.
I immediately went to the Joker.
Same. That's exactly where I went to.
Okay.
So there was one person that just looked kind of nervous, looked like he was still an initiate.
Like he had a half face.
Yeah. And there was a gentleman that was nervous on the train, got off on the next exit. They followed him. They were going to mug him. And it was like the initiative process for this guy with half the face paint. And then that's the time that you hear for the first time Batman starts stepping with the sound cues.
They're circling around this poor victim, and then they see, one of them sees the bat symbol, and they're like, okay, I'm just going to go through with this, and he's about to do it. And then they turn and there's shadow, just like with the other two the other two criminals. Mm-hmm. And then Batman steps out, and it's so fucking awesome.
It leads with his steps.
Yeah.
And they're slow, and they're melodic, and they are frightening.
And of course, you've seen, everybody's seen this scene in the trailers. You see the clown guy being like, who the hell are you supposed to be? Then he beats the ever-looking fucking shit out of this guy, and he's like, I'm vengeance. And that's a theme. Keep saying, I am vengeance.
That's the theme for him. His suit is shown off. It's like, they're like saying like, hey, obviously this is a Batman movie. Like, here you go. What do you guys think of the suit?
I think it's great. I think it looks utilitarian. It looks like body armor.
It does.
I love this low-tech Batman.
He doesn't seem... So, the Batman we see in the Nolans, and especially in, like, Justice League and whatnot, he's like, the one in Justice League, like, shooting fucking lasers and stuff, and he has some space vehicle of a Batmobile. This one literally has a muscle car as a Batmobile, and it's so awesome. We'll get to that, but
suit-wise, it made him look like he was buffer than he actually was. You see scenes where Robert Pattinson has his shirt off. I can't say his last name very well. Yeah. Pattinson. But you see scenes where he has his shirt off, and he doesn't look muscular. He looks like a skinnier guy.
He looks like a guy.
But like when he has it on, he almost just looks like a different person.
And I think that kind of helps with the feeling.
I think so too. And like the suit itself wasn't overly complicated. It got the point across. And like he had, like you guys said, it was very low tech. He's just a vigilante in this movie. Mm-hmm. But,
so he beats the shit out of the clowns. There's the guy, the victim of the clowns was like, please don't hurt me. And Batman just kind of stares at him. And then he's like, okay, I assume the signal's on for something. So he goes to see who let the signal. Gordon's there, played by Jeffrey Wright. And who did a pretty great job, if you ask me.
Yeah, it was a nice Gordon.
He is not commissioner yet. He is just Lieutenant Gordon. And they're like, okay, Batman, well, the reason I called you here is because the mayor's dead. And he brings Batman to the mayor's crime scene.
And this kind of took me out of it at first, but then every single cop, like whenever he would go to a crime scene after this, would like say something. It was like he walked past like 10 cops, and then one was like, "You can't just be in here." And he just looks at him with the "I'm Batman" kind of look, like, "Get the fuck out of here, you noob."
Yes. Batman like shows that he's like a detective. He's like just looking at the scene silently, taking in info, like, and he sees a blood trail, and then like one of the crime scene guys are like, "Oh shit!" And I'm like, "I didn't see that." And they take pictures of it, and we see in that scene that the Riddler. I'm just going to say the Riddler. It's the Riddler has left a letter for Batman. It says "To the Batman." And do you remember the riddle? I don't remember.
I don't remember exactly. It's like, what does a liar do after they die?
He lies still.
It rhymed, but ultimately was he lies still.
And the liar, of course, being the mayor in this case. And the Riddler is proving that in this moment that he's trying to make some sort of statement with who he's killing, that liars need to be shown, for who they really are. Batman is seeing, like, they have some kind of cipher. He's like, all right, he lies still. That must be the
It was also pointed out that there was blood on the tape that the guy used saying that no more lies.
No more lies, yeah. You see that a lot.
And they were asking, like, where the blood was from, because he had blunt force trauma to his head, but he also had his thumb cut off.
Yep. Then Batman leaves. That's all the clues he can find. And he goes home. And we see him with Andy Serkis playing Alfred.
Yeah.
And Alfred was kind of fun.
Mm-hmm. I like this Alfred.
Yeah, he was subtle. There wasn't a lot of him. But he was smart. I feel like they were a team, right?
Right.
So he shows up, and of course Bruce Wayne's still a human, so he has to sleep. Andy Serkis was like playing around with the cipher. And he's like, I was trying to solve this cipher, and Batman's like, oh, how about you do this thing? I don't know, it was some complicated cipher thing. And the cipher ended up, using He Lies Still, he was able to remove all the letters, and it spelled out drive. And then that was the clue he needed to be like, oh, I guess a car.
He insinuated that it had something to do with the mayor's cars.
Yeah. So Gordon takes him down to the garage.
Before that, this is where you get the first bit of information that Batman is not living his Bruce Wayne life.
Yeah.
You get the impression that Batman is just a shut-in, that he doesn't interact with anybody, that there's people that are like trying to contact him, and he's just telling Alfred, no. No,
I'm Batman now, Alfred. It's not a phase, Alfred. So they go down to the garage with Gordon and Batman there, and he sees a
slashed tire.
I don't know. There was something in the tire. I don't know what it was. And he's like, "Oh, this car." So they investigate the car, and of course they find the mayor's thumb attached to a USB drive, thumb drive.
Oh,
they make that little joke, and they put it in, and I guess the USB drive was like loaded up with some sort of virus to upload all of the files on the drive immediately. They're looking through the files, and it's all these pictures of the mayor, who had just been killed, fraternizing at this seedy lounge with someone who isn't his wife.
It was basically blackmail.
Yes.
Is what it was.
Okay. But typically blackmail is used on a living person.
Right.
This is the kind of stuff that clearly the Riddler just took a picture and was like, this guy sucks, so you die, and the whole world is going to know how much you suck.
Yeah.
An expose.
So then we see that Batman's like, who is this lady he's with? We need to find out who she is, because the Riddler obviously knows who she is. So he goes as Batman to, the Iceberg Lounge, right?
Yeah.
And DC fans, you probably know, that's the Penguin's place.
Played by Colin Farrell.
Was that Colin Farrell?
It was Colin Farrell.
I did not see it at all.
Yep.
He is a fat, gross monster in this movie.
And he's so good at it.
I mean, yeah.
I think they used obviously they used some extra skin padding
Yeah,
thing
absolutely.
to kind of give him this like
He looked like a
underchin.
penguin, but he also looked like a human.
He had a
He
scar.
did. And I think like where they added it in, they used makeup to make it look like a scar.
Mm-hmm.
And he looked like they did such a good job with him.
He walks up to the what was
The
it?
bar?
Iceberg
Yeah.
Lounge, and they're like, he's like, hey, I want to go in, and then two twins roll up, and they're like, no, and he's like, well, I'm going to beat the shit out of you. So he does. There's all these lights going on. It was very John Wick, where it's like the fight scene, silhouetted by these crazy dance lights.
I guess now that I'm thinking about it, there's like a couple of scenes that they just replay like multiple times.
Yeah.
Like he goes to this lounge 3 different times that I can think of. And all 3 times it starts with he knocks on the door, one of the twins opens the door, closes the door, both twins come out, and then like whatever happens after that happens.
So he's beating the shit out of all these goons, and it makes a point to show that like people are shooting him, but he's all these body armor. He fucking cold cocks a dude right in the face, and that's important for later. But then Penguin shows up. He's like, "Hey, whoa, stop! Okay, you want a word? Jeez, come on!" And I thought that was kind of silly and fun. Then they just talk, and he's like, "Hey, so all these pictures, I want to know who this lady is." And Penguin's like, yeah, she's one of the girls or whatever. I don't know her."
That was a good voice. That was a good voice.
And
press X to doubt.
yeah, and he's trying to get all the info he can. But then that's when we get our first view of Selina. Selina comes in, and Batman checks her out like straight up. He's like, "Oh, damn!"
Mm-hmm.
But of course, he's just being Batman, checking her out. She walks in. She's like the Penguin's server or something, waitress, some kind.
She was a waitress, I
Real
believe.
quick, this is Selena Kyle.
Yes.
Yep. Played by Zoe. I don't know how to say it. Is it Kravitz?
Kravitz.
Okay.
It's Lenny Kravitz's daughter. We see him. He makes a real point at checking out Selena's legs, and he noticed that Selena was looking at the picture, at the girl in the picture, and he saw Selena's legs in the picture as well.
They did such a good job of just like making you feel like, oh, I know he's picking up on things.
Yeah.
Like it felt like you were discovering things throughout the movie.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I meant when I said like each scene leads to the next scene.
Yeah.
I mean, like, the best kind of mystery movie is one where the audience is one step ahead of the protagonist.
Mm-hmm.
Because you figure it out just as they're about to figure it out. And you feel smart just like the character feels smart.
So Zoe Kravitz, Selena, she leaves the bar, and Batman's like, "Well, I'm going to follow this lady, see what happens." He follows her all the way to her apartment, and there at her apartment is the girl from the picture, and she is freaking out. And Catwoman was like telling her to calm down, calm down. I think
She is freaking out because the news is now showing all these blackmail pictures that got leaked.
Gotcha.
And she knows she's a target. So what happens is Batman he pervs on Selena and sees that she's getting dressed in her like cat burglar getup.
She has like 8 cats.
A lot of cats. She is going to break into the mayor's safe, the active crime scene, and get the
Passport.
Passport, because the mayor had stolen the lady from the photos'
Anita.
passport. It wasn't Anita. Annika.
Annika. Yep.
She had stolen the mayor had stolen Annika's passport because of he didn't want her to be able to leave. I think something like that.
It was something along those lines.
Leave the country?
You don't. There's a so like this is
like
one of those
Russian.
spots. This is one of those spots where we obviously don't have all the information.
Gotcha.
But for whatever reason, the mayor took her passport, and Selena was getting it back so that they could leave.
Gotcha.
Of course, Batman's there, and from the shadows, just says, "Hey, you're pretty good at cracking that safe." And she's like, "Oh shit, it's Batman!" And they like have a little fight. He obviously subdues her because men are stronger than women, and then he gets her in a bear hug. And one of the police heard the scuffle, and he's like, "Shut up." And the police is like, "Okay, I guess it's nothing," and they leave, and they have a little conversation.
Must have been the wind.
And in this conversation, they come to terms, and they're like, "Our goals align here. We both want what's best for Annika, so let's help each other." They rush back to the apartment, and the apartment's been ransacked. Annika's gone.
Yep. And Catwoman decides to pour herself a glass of milk while freaking out over all this.
Oh, gross.
Yeah, I know. And they just have a small conversation. I don't remember exactly if anything important was said in it.
Not really. It was kind of flirtatious.
And he's like, you have a lot of cats. Just that was it. There was a moment of silence, and he's just like...
And I kind of liked it.
And she's just like, I have a thing for strays.
He is awkward and weird, and she is, like, into it. Like,
like, that is the meet cute moment, and I love it so much.
It makes me think, like, okay, yeah, if he's been a shut-in for the past 2 years, he would be socially awkward and not know how to interact with people.
Shit, what happens? I think the Riddler killed somebody else?
There was the commissioner. Will?
How did he get taken? What happened? What led to that?
We didn't see...
I don't think we saw.
We didn't see how he got taken, but we...
Oh, that's right. When they're in the apartment and then the news comes on.
Yeah.
And it's Riddler has sent a video of himself torturing the commissioner.
Mm-hmm.
I just gotta say, Gotham News, not afraid to show you anything.
No.
This might be a little bit graphic.
It's the guy taped up. He has this rat cage on his stomach, and like he's freaking the fuck out. And I'm thinking we're about to see some fucking Game of Thrones-esque, like, heating the rat cage, and they're about to fucking dig into him. Like, and then they just cut off the news. But I'm like, what is happening here? The Riddler is like some crazy dude.
Jeez.
And it's another scene where it goes to the autopsy area after that. Dude's dead. Can't remember his name. Guy's dead. And it's him and Gordon looking at the body.
Batman and Gordon.
Yeah, sorry. Batman and Gordon looking at the body. And there's another note saying
to the
Batman. And you realize that, okay, this is going to be the theme. This is Riddler's game.
This isn't your, riddle me this, Batman. No, this is a really dark and demented person.
Yeah. There's themes of it.
He's like looking at the rat cage, and there's a cipher or something in the maze. There was inside the rat cage there was a maze, and Alfred makes a point of saying, I got the cipher, and I guess the Riddler isn't good at Spanish. It's El Rata Alata, which is roughly translated the rat with wings.
Mm.
So we know that somebody... Oh, fuck, we forgot. I'm so sorry, Cody. At the beginning of the film...
You're forgiven.
I'm ruining this movie.
They established that... It's shown, not told to us, that the police has just made some huge bust against the Maroney crime...
Falcone?
Yeah.
No. Okay. Maroney crime family. They're gone now, but they made some huge bust. And... because of this rat with wings clue, Batman started to think, was there a rat that informed on the Maroney case or whatever it was that allowed the police to get in? So he goes to Selina Kyle again and is like, hey, Selina, you want to work together? And that's cool. That's a cool scene. He has these cool, like,
contact lenses
that record things, and he gives them to Selina so he can watch what she sees in the club. So she infiltrates the club because she works there, and goes and she's looking at all these people, and the contact lenses can look at their faces and facial identify who they are.
And he's seeing a lot of cops, a
lot of just like important people, and then he sees a guy with a broken nose. He's like, hey, I fucked that guy up the other night. He's a cop. This guy's a cop right now. And she goes by him and sees that the DA is there. And Batman's imploring Selina to flirt with the DA, get something out of him. And she hears through his conversation that he's mentioning some kind of rat. He's like, he knows the rat, the Riddler knows the rat, it's scary. And she's like, wait, you're talking about a rat here. And then what happens to distract her?
Falcone.
The other lady that was at the table mentions her friend.
Right. And she tries to chase after that lady because that's the only reason Selina was there, is to find out more about Annika because Annika's gone. Then in the process of trying to chase her down, we bump into John Turturro playing Carmine Falcone. And Falcone was like, hey,
darling, how's it going?
Yeah, how you doing, darling? And Batman sees this and he gets jealous. And he's like, hey, you dating? And then does she like take out her lenses?
Yeah, she goes to the bathroom arguing with him.
That's right.
And then says, I'm not doing this anymore. Takes out the lenses, and that's all he gets.
what happens is she goes to leave, and the DA like follows her out,
chasing her out.
Because-
She leaves, and then he goes to his car. Riddler's in the back of his car, gets him, ganks him, and traps him.
Mhm.
That's the last we see of the DA until the next scene we see him.
With that, you see it cuts back to Batman.
He's like in his Bat computer, and he's rewatching the recording of him arguing with Selina over and over again. Not really sure why he was doing that.
Yeah, it didn't really make a lot of sense, but he was dressed up. And Alfred comes up. Alfred's like, "Oh, are you going to be Bruce Wayne again?" Because he was dressed up. Turns out he was going to the mayor's funeral.
Well, memorial
For
Mayor Mitchell.
And he went with the idea of thinking that the Riddler's going to be there because
Serial killers like to look at the trauma they've caused, that kind of thing.
Exactly. People were surprised that he was there because he doesn't Bruce Wayne very often anymore. But as they're like starting the memorial, everybody starts panicking outside, and an SUV ends up driving through into the building.
It was such a good scene too. We hear a bunch of like ruckus from outside, and like I think it was gunshots popping off or something, and then just it blows through, and all these people. It was hard to hear because people are singing Ave Maria and shit, and it was just such a good scene. It blows through, SUV comes in, and like Bruce Wayne dodges in front of this little boy so he doesn't get hit by the SUV.
The mayor's son.
Just beforehand, he has a hint of seeing the Riddler, or he thinks he sees the Riddler
up in the
before he disappears.
Yeah,
and it was like a good establishing shot.
And so SUV crashes into the wall, and there's just a parting of people, and the cops rush in, guns pointed at the SUV. They're pleading with the driver to get out. DA steps out, and he's got this weird contraption around his neck.
Contraption.
And he's got a phone like taped to his hand or something, and the phone's ringing, and he's just like doing this.
And he has the to the Batman.
Yeah.
Right on his
chest.
And the phone starts calling. And it's just this awkward moment where I looked over. I'm like, guys, if he answers this, everyone's gonna know he's Batman.
But then the man's gonna blow up.
But if he doesn't answer this, the Riddler's just going to be left on hold.
Well, either way, what happens is time passes. It's like it becomes night. Batman rolls up.
That's quite a reach of the Riddler if he was thinking that Batman would be at the memorial.
He wasn't thinking that Batman would be at the memorial. In fact, we get that hint. I mean, why would he think Batman would be at the mayor's house?
Okay.
He left a letter to say he's specifically trying to get Batman's attention. We learn that especially at the end. So time passes, Batman shows up, Bruce Wayne's gone.
Wait, so what happened with the DA?
He's just sitting there.
Yeah,
he's just sitting there.
Okay.
Waiting.
Well, the contraption, like you said,
it's
has a
beeping
bomb.
and the phone's constantly ringing.
They basically just got a bomb control unit and just kind of spectated the situation. They threw a Wally unit at it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah. Batman rolls up and they're like, the police are like, oh God, he's going to kill himself, whatever. So he answers the phone. It's Riddler. And Riddler's like, yada, yada, yada. You're a bad guy. Your lies are going to come to the surface. You're going to answer these 3 riddles. And if you get them all right, then, hey, guess what? I'm not going to blow you up. And the guy's like, oh shit. And Riddler's like, you got 2 minutes. Let's go.
Yep.
And he just says the first riddle.
The first riddle, I forget exactly what it is.
It was something about justice. Yeah. Justice is blind, yada, yada, yada. Then the next riddle is like, so what was the price that it took for you to become dirty? Basically,
to
he's asking the yeah. And the DA is like, it was only 10 grand. It was only 10 grand.
Mm-hmm.
So then the last question was
who was the rat? Basically.
Who was the rat? Tell me who the rat was. And the guy's like, I'm not going to say. I'd rather die. I have a family. If I say who the rat is, they're all dead too. And Batman's like, wait, tell me who the rat is. He's so focused. And then the bomb goes off and Batman flies away.
This Batman gets the shit.
What happens after that?
He goes to meet Commissioner Gordon.
He's not commissioner yet. He goes to meet Gordon, and he explains to Gordon how that guy, I punched a dude in the face at the Iceberg Lounge, and he is a cop. But he is moonlighting as a cop. Like, Gordon's like, oh, he's moonlighting as like a bouncer. And he's like, no. This guy's moonlighting as a cop. And
I believe that's when they make the connection that the penguin
is
also a bird.
El Rato with wings. It actually is interesting because you see the desperation. They are jumping to every single conclusion they can get to with what does El Rata
Yeah.
a lot of mean. And they're like, okay, rat with wings. Rat, he's a penguin. Penguins have wings.
He's a flightless bird.
Yeah.
And it's just stretching, and it's like, oh, okay.
And it feels it. And I feel like the movie is saying to us that they are desperate because they are just looking for any connection.
I think this also helps, like, humanize Batman here.
Mm-hmm.
That he does make mistakes.
So, yada, yada, yada. Him and Gordon are like, we are going to double team this. We are going to,
The Iceberg Lounge?
It wasn't the Iceberg Lounge. It was somewhere else.
They're doing a deal.
They're doing a deal. They follow Penguin to a deal.
Like a wharf.
And Batman's just like watching the deal go down. He's like setting the scene for himself. He sees Selina show up because Selina's finally followed the tracks of Annika to this deal happening. And he's like, things just got complicated. And she does something and it makes the whole scene explode.
Yeah.
And everybody starts shooting guns. Batman's there to like save her for a second.
Right before everything explodes, she's taking stuff out of the back of the car, and then she finds Annika's dead body.
Yeah, Annika's corpse is in this bag. Here comes the best scene in the movie. So, and it's weirdly scary. Like, it's tense, and we see they're like gunning down Selina. She's like hiding behind this car, and then there's there's an alleyway.
Yes.
And this is where you get the Batmobile here. And it's just like this really loud revving. And it's just... And there's like a blue jet. And we don't really see what's happening. And the Penguin's like, oh, fuck. What's happening? Oh, shit. And he gets in his car and he's like, put the money in the back! And then he just drives away and they don't even let them.
He doesn't even give them time.
With the cop. That's gaslighting as a...
He's with them?
Yeah. He's the one who's left with the bags. Yes.
Oh, but he didn't get in the car with...
No, he was the one left there.
Either way, Batmobile tears ass after the car, and I'm a sucker for car noise.
Oh, God, dude.
I could feel it in my nuts. The whole movie. The Batmobile is so fucking awesome in this movie. This
was where I really noticed the musical cue. Like, all of a sudden, like, the music took over for this movie from this point on. But a car chase ensues. You hear the loud muscle car that is this Batmobile. It's again, just like a suit. It's not this over-tech machine. It has the big red boost button. It has the NOS button. But that's it. Other than that, it's just a heavy metal car.
It does have a jet on the back.
Yeah. There's a prolonged highway chase. It's badass, but I'm not going to talk about every single step of it. And lo and behold, Penguin thinks he caused this huge pileup, this explosion of tankers on the thing. He's like, there's no way Batman's getting by that. He's like looking behind him, and the Batmobile just soars over the fire, and he like fucks up Penguin's car so bad.
It wrecks like an
F1 car.
Yes.
It was the best wreck scene I think I've ever seen in a movie.
And there's just really, really cool scene.
The best cinematography I've seen, like just the best shot I've seen.
Yeah.
You get this visual of Penguin upside down. And
it's a POV shot.
Yeah, from his point of view, you see Batman
upside
get out
down
of his car. All these trucks, all these gas trucks are just on fire behind him. And you just have this picture of the knight walking in front of this flame with his cape. And it's just this amazing
and the music
visual.
is just accentuating every step as he just monotonously plods right to Penguin.
And every once in a while it'll cut to Penguin looking more and more terrified.
And I mean, they accentuate the entire shot. Like, it cuts back, you see Batman getting on the ground and looking under the car. Like there was a point where there's probably about 5 seconds where I'm like, this is drawing out. But like the 40 seconds before that, chef's kiss.
Mm-hmm. It really feels like the director is willing to like hold on a shot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And kind of to go back a little bit, like, what is the action like? How is the action cut? It's weird
to even ask that. I was thinking that. There aren't a lot of oneers, but it's good. There aren't a lot of oneers.
Gotcha.
But it's good.
The action is quick.
It's quick. There's like one... everybody's seen it in the trailer. There's that one really good oneer where he just walks up and beats the shit out of that one clown guy.
Yeah. But no, like, even that fight scene, like, in the movie, only, like, maybe 2 minutes long.
Yeah.
The Catwoman fight scene,
It's
30
barely,
seconds.
It's barely
It's
a fight
quick.
scene. Yeah.
When he goes into the bar, when he goes into the club, it's maybe about a 4-minute, just couple cuts fight scene.
The
there's-
longest one was the last one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
and,
even that one,
and that one has its own play on it.
yeah.
Anyway,
Okay.
they take the Penguin to him and Penguin go to Gordon. Gordon and Batman are like interrogating him, like, "Who's the rat with wings? Who's the rat? Who's the rat? Tell us. What'd you tell him? What'd you tell him?" He's like, "I don't know what the shit you're talking about. I'm not the rat. I'm not the rat. I didn't say anything."
He starts talking shit about their Spanish-speaking capabilities.
It's La Rata. Why would it be El Rata? And then they're like, they realized it's
El Raton.
well, whatever. They realized that it's not El Rata. It's
URL.
You are El Rata. So they're like, "You are El Rata. You are El Rata."
And in the middle of interrogating, they look at each other like, "Is he? You think he's telling the truth?" And like they just have this like, he makes a funny joke as well. He's like, "What is this? Good cop and batshit crazy cop?"
That was pretty good.
So Batman gets his bat laptop out and he types in. He
not
types
even
in Rata.
He types in
Rata
the URL of the
Alata.
code. Yeah,
Rataalata.com.
Yeah.
And
it's just the Riddler waiting there for him in a
in like a
chat.
like a chat room. It looks like it reminded me of the Hulk.
Kinda, yeah.
When he was talking to
Mr. Blue or Mr. Green
yeah.
or whatever.
So he's talking to the Riddler over this, and we see the scene of him just talking on this chat room.
Yeah.
Feels
And
ridiculous.
it kind of cuts away from the movie a little bit. And I think this is a point that reminds you, like, hey, this is more of a detective movie than it is an action movie.
Yeah. Okay.
So yada yada yada. The riddle. The answer
How
to the
long
riddle
was he
is
just waiting in that AOL chat room?
I know, right?
the answer to the riddle that he presents in that moment is orphan. I think.
Yeah, something along those lines.
And so they're like, orphan, yada yada yada, orphanage. Let's go to the orphanage. So they go to the orphanage. That is that was part of the Thomas Wayne.
Penguin. They leave
Yeah,
the
they just
Penguin
leave
there.
Penguin there.
Zip
Tied up
tied up
and
around his
everything,
feet,
yeah.
and you just get to see him waddle for a couple seconds.
But they go there and it's totally dilapidated. They're like, there's creepy.
It was
There's
a creepy scene.
yeah, there's like a creepy sting where they're like, "Oh shit, there's the Riddler," and they bust in and it's just like a druggie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a whole den of drug addicts.
And you see now that this is just like a homeless person area.
Yeah.
It's not even a real shelter. It's just a hangout.
So they investigate the area. They find a play, like a
film?
projector,
Yeah.
putting just Thomas Wayne, and it's him talking about how he's running for mayor or something.
It's his mayoral commercial.
It was a campaign ad. This message is brought to you by Thomas Wayne, that kind of thing. Yeah. Then on the walls in green paint, they see that it says "Sins of the Father."
And the renewal is a lie.
Renewal is a lie. And so now he's thinking, Batman's like, "Oh shit, I'm Bruce Wayne."
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne's the next target. And Gordon's like, "Wait, so what does that mean?" And Batman's gone.
Yeah.
And he's like tearing ass in his car all the way home, trying to call. And we see it's interposing this scene with scenes of Alfred getting a letter and opening the letter, and it says to Batman.
Bruce Wayne's eyes only.
Yeah, for Bruce Wayne's eyes only. And then he looks and it says fireproof. And he opens it up and it says to the Batman. And Alfred's like, "Oh shit." And then he throws it and it explodes. And then we realize that it's already happened an hour ago.
Yeah, the whole time Bruce is trying to call him and there's no answer. And you keep hearing the phone call ring, even with this Alfred scene.
Mm-hmm.
And then the maid answers and says, "Oh, everything's too late. It already happened." And you see the Wayne mansion in smoke.
But Alfred's alive. Spoiler alert. He's just sitting there in the hospital. He's all fucked up. And so Bruce is starting to get scared that the Riddler does know who he is.
So after that, he gets another bat symbol call. And he thinks it's Gordon. But they show up at the same time.
Right.
And they're confused. But they find out, they go up to see the signal, and it's actually Catwoman.
And she's gotten the dirty cop that killed Annika, the one who had the money bags that we were talking about earlier. What the dirty cop says is, yada, 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 your dad's bad. Your dad was trying to cover up something about your mom,
yeah.
and the reporter that had gotten the information wouldn't take a bribe, so your dad had the reporter killed. That's what he said to Bruce. Well, that's what he said to Batman. He said that Thomas would do it. He didn't know, obviously. Yeah. She's like, oh, so I guess Bruce Wayne's, blah, blah, blah. He's the next target. And he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And she's like, wait, it's all over the news. You haven't seen it? And we see the scene of the Riddler has sent all of this footage to the news of the Waynes and this tawdry nonsense. Yeah. Apparently, like, Martha is from she's like crazy and blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter.
Important thing to take away from it is now there's all this propaganda out about Martha being crazy and Thomas being corrupt before they both died.
Yes.
And it was on Celine's phone. Annika called her.
Oh, that's right. And we are so bad at this.
All of Falcone killing her by choking her.
Killing Annika.
Yeah.
Falcone did it. We heard him do it in the recording. So, there's just a really tense scene. She wants to kill him, but Batman, he doesn't kill people. So he's like, there's a better way. You're better than this. Don't throw away your life. And she's like, I got 9 lives. And there's this, altercation. Yeah. she gets away and Bruce Wayne goes to Falcone and is like, is this true? Falcone's like, your old man came to me. Falcone had told a story earlier about how Thomas had saved his life because Thomas is a doctor. Bruce Wayne is like, hey, so you're telling me this is true? Falcone's like, yep, he came to me. I mean, I hired a guy to go scare him. The guy wouldn't be scared, so I did something. So he did something.
He solved the problem.
He solved the problem.
Was the way he put it.
And referring, of course, to the death of the reporter who had uncovered this story about Martha.
But he made it kind of sound like Thomas was like, hey, if you can't make it work, make it work.
Mm-hmm. So this gets Bruce real mad, and he rushes over to Alfred.
Yep. Dude's on his deathbed, and he wakes up, and you just see, he did such a good job of this scene. He looked so happy. He's like, Bruce is sitting there. He's worried. He's been so worried about me. I wake up. He's right here beside me this whole time. Never left my side. He smiles at him like he's looking at a son. Bruce just looks at him. You fucking lied to me.
Yeah.
And then his face goes.
Yeah.
And so they have this touching moment where Alfred explains that Thomas wasn't doing it for the mayoral race. It wasn't because the story was going to get out and ruin his election. It was because he cared so much about what it would do to Martha. And he needed the story to go away because if the story got out, Martha would be destroyed. Then Alfred explains that he tried all this time to prove that the reason Thomas and Martha died that night was because Thomas threatened to go to the press about Falcone. And Falcone's like, you're not going to do that, and hired a guy to kill them. But Alfred couldn't prove that. We have the recording of Falcone killing Annika. We hear him strangling her. So Batman's like, all right, I'm just going to go get the asshole.
Catwoman, Selina's going with the intent to kill him.
To kill him. And Batman wants to beat her there to save her soul, that kind of thing. So there's another scene of him,
one of her 9 souls.
Yeah, yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
So
this is the most Batman way he gets in my opinion.
Right. He shows up, knocks on the door, Twin opens the door, no one's there, and he's like, oh shit. And then we see a figure in the foreground move past, assuming, of course, saying Batman's gotten in, he's ninjaing around. He shuts off all the power.
He goes down this long hallway that's dark. And the only light you see is from people trying to fire their guns at him. And you just see him take out a hallway of 20 dudes that probably shot each other. But the only light you see is whenever they're shooting the guns. Yeah. And it's such a coolly shot scene. It's so awesome.
Yeah.
And it's probably one of the longer straight shots that they had.
Yeah, definitely. It was like a 30, 40-second wonder.
Yeah.
And just before Selina is about to take the shot on Falcone, the power goes out, so she takes the shot and misses, and then Batman gets up there. He stops her from killing him. Falcone was about to strangle
I'm pretty sure
Selina.
She loses 1 over 9 lives because Falcone fucking decks her with a steel bar.
Oh, jeez.
It was a very well done
Was
scene.
it a steel bar?
It was something.
I thought it was the pull cue.
I think it was thicker than that. But point is, she took a hard fucking
Either
hit.
way, Batman saves her, and Falcone's about to strangle her. Batman saves her. They get Falcone, and they're doing the perp walk. They're walking him out of the Iceberg Lounge, and he starts talking to Penguin, and Penguin's like, blah, 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 I'm Penguin. And Falcone is like, you think you're so tough? You're tough shit? You suck. And Penguin's like, I'll show you sucks, and he's going for his pistol. And everybody tackles Penguin to the ground, but we hear a gunshot.
Mm-hmm.
And Penguin's just screaming, "It wasn't me! I didn't shoot! I didn't shoot!" And then Batman's like, "Up there!" And he sees a figure in a window.
And figure dips out.
And he looks up, and the light's flickering, and he's like, "Oh shit, rat in the light. I brought the rat into the light.
Mm-hmm.
This is the plan all along." So he rushes up to the apartment, and it's the Riddler's apartment. It's straight up just the Riddler's apartment. And there's all kinds of riddles in there and whatever. But the Riddler got away.
And this is where, like, you really start to think, wow, I don't know the Riddler's full intentions here.
Yeah.
Because this whole time it's been, let's kill corrupt cops. And then there's a video, also, whenever he's not killing corrupt politicians or cops, he's just a keyboard warrior posting stuff on social media. Yeah. There's a cop that's like, hey, wow, this guy has 500 followers. It's just such a random throw out that it doesn't make sense. It makes sense later on.
At the time, you're just thinking, why is this happening?
Why the fuck did he say this? Why does this matter?
So they get a call in saying a witness saw a figure going down the fire escape and is now sitting at the diner. So they're like, oh shit, he's just down the street. They rush out to the diner, and Riddler's just like, with a coffee, and the cops show up, and he's just like, oh, I'm the Riddler, look at me.
Right before they get that call out, you see this poster board full of information that's talking about, like, unmasking vigilantes, like, identities and stuff, and you start to feel like, oh, maybe this whole time, like, he's trying to unmask Batman.
And then we get a call. So after the Riddler gets taken, we get, like, Batman goes back to the scene, and they're talking about, like, what this, you know, like, little
what all this could mean.
I don't know.
Whatever he was meant to find out there, he wasn't able to find out.
Yeah. And they get he gets a call being like, hey, the Riddler wants to see you, Batman. You're getting paged to go to Arkham. He goes to see the Riddler in Arkham.
Like, he starts out, he's like, Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne. And Batman's just like nervous fucking.
He's like, he looks up at the camera.
Left and right.
He looks right at the camera.
You know, there's a camera like up there. He's like, this is being recorded. And the Riddler is, you get the impression that the Riddler thinks that Batman has solved it all, and he's in on it now.
Yeah. And the whole time he's talking to him like he's a partner.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's kind of, like, as an audience member, and as Bruce, you're watching this thinking the Riddler, like, Bruce was getting hints that he's going to out my whole identity. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, and then it was like, it's just a shame the only one we couldn't get was Bruce. And Batman's like,
and the whole time,
yes, that is correct.
Yes.
And he's like,
but that doesn't matter because what's about to happen can't be stopped. And it was one of those supervillain things. And Batman's like, what the fuck do you mean? What do you mean what's going to happen? What can't be stopped? And he's like, what do you mean? This is what you wanted. This is what you're here for, right? You're doing this. And Batman's like, no, you're fucking crazy. You're crazy. And
you get that swear to me, how did you know that name kind of thing, where he's just like, what did you do? And he's like,
what are you doing?
What are you doing? Window.
So he rushes back to the apartment, and they need to find out what he's like looking for any clue he can. It's like the desperation is there, and he sees the original murder weapon, and that cop from the beginning was like, you're gonna let Batman walk into here? He's like, oh, you
probably shouldn't be touching that.
It's a carpet tool.
Yeah, for whatever reason.
Because his dad works with carpeting.
Yeah. And then he looks down
and Batman's like, oh shit, there's a carpet.
Yeah, I'm going to use this on the carpet.
And he tears up the carpet, and there's a phrase there, I don't remember what the phrase is. But they couldn't find this, I forgot. So he had that social media thing on his laptop that they were talking about. But there was one video they couldn't watch.
That was locked, it required
a password.
Real change.
Yeah, that was the password.
So he rips up the carpet, and the real password's underneath the carpet, like etched in like a crazy person.
As well as a map of the city with glowing lights around it.
And and he's watching the video as the climactic finish is happening to this plan. And the video is the Riddler talking to his followers, who are just extremist terrorists. Then Batman's like, oh shit. And he looks down at the thing, and he sees the lights, and how it's a map of Gotham, and the flashing lights are at the seawall.
Yeah.
There's a Gotham seawall, I guess. And then he looks up, and then explosions start happening.
Yep.
And the seawall's been collapsed. The Riddler won, and the water's just rushing in. And the goal was to just trap this, because right at this moment, there's a mayoral what do you call it?
The
Election
only with the mayor dying, the only other person running was like automatically selected, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know. It was just like she was having some sort of rally. That's the word, a mayoral rally. So the goal was to just have everybody be trapped there, and then the extremists would take their guns and pick off the people while they're trapped by the water.
So now it cuts to this area taking place at Gotham Square Garden. Everybody's showing up there. Everybody's panicking. Gordon's like, "Hey, we got to get you out of here." She's
mayor.
like, "Yeah." She's like, "No, I'm gonna stay here with my people." She walks out to give a speech, looks up, and then just gets fucking sniped right in the fucking shoulder. And you just see all these people that are dressed up as what the Riddler was dressed up as.
Gotcha.
And so, of course, yada yada yada. They're pinned down. People are shooting. Batman rolls in. Cool entrance. He blows
Sick
up the
fucking entrance.
whole like roof and starts beating the shit out of people. But there's too many of them. There's all of Riddler's Instagram followers are there, and they're beating Batman.
All of his TikToks.
But then Catwoman shows up. Oh, Catwoman's there. She saves the day.
Oh, dude, hold on. We gotta say, like, this is the most action that happens in the movie.
Yeah.
It's like 15 minutes of just straight action. And for Batman, it kind of ends with, like, he goes up to the last guy, and he gets fucking shotgun blasted.
Yeah, like point blank, right in the chest. The guy double barrels him right in the chest, and he flies away. And
Catwoman saves him. And then what we thought was the last guy, they're having like their moment. He's getting ready to pass out. Then some other guy shows up.
Yeah. He's about to stab Selina, and Batman like gives himself adrenaline or something.
Batman takes a health potion.
Yeah, he takes adrenaline. He takes bad adrenaline, and he like he beats the shit out of this guy.
He knocks this guy down, and you just watch him like 10 seconds of him just fucking punching this guy in the
Gordon
face.
stops him. He's like, Batman, he's down, Batman. And they take the guy's mask off, and the guy just says, they're like, who the hell are you? Gordon's like, who the hell are you people? And the guy's like, I am vengeance. Like Batman's been saying the whole movie.
Gives him a hard eye roll.
And I think that was the guy he saved from the clowns.
It might have been. It may have been. I don't know. It's hard to tell because his face was beat the fuck up.
But I digress. Either way, this is kind of where the movie starts wrapping up, where we find he's kind of saved the day, but Riddler won in the end.
Yeah.
And now it's time to pick up the pieces.
Bit of a downer ending.
Well, here's my little point. This is kind of a wrap up. Go ahead and do your wrap up here. Just wrap up the plot with me. Come on.
Okay, I'll wrap up the plot. So after all the action kind of ensues, and you have that moment to breathe, I believe this is where it cuts back to the Riddler's cell, and this is the real after credit scene to me.
It was weird.
But he's just sitting there, and he's like kind of freaking out. He's crying. He's having all these terrible emotions, and you just hear this voice on the side, like calming him down. And then, like, he hits him with his own riddle. That was
the less you have
of us, the more one means.
The more one means. Yeah.
And it was a friend. And then they both just start laughing together as the scene pans away from the rooms that they're in, but they're just two rooms beside each other, two cells beside each other.
Mm-hmm.
And it very obviously sets up like the next movie is gonna have these two tag teaming together. Yeah. And they even mention like that like Gotham loves a comeback story.
Yeah.
Batman says his goodbyes to Catwoman. Catwoman's like, no, stay with me. I want to be your fuck buddy. And Batman's like, no, Gotham's my fuck buddy.
That pretty much happens.
No, realistically, he's like,
literally says,
you've already taken.
Yeah. Bat Symbol shows up to save the day for him. He leans in for an awkward I'm gonna kiss you moment, but doesn't. And then they hop on their motorcycles to leave, even though the city's flooded. But that's whatever.
And I think this is a couple days after.
Well, I mean, it's still flooded at the end. We see it.
And then you see them go separate ways as he's kind of monologuing a little bit. And
after they have this cool, like, chase scene.
It was cute.
It was kind of cute. It was kind of cute. But this is the scene I was talking about where when he's looking in the mirror at Catwoman going that way, we hear, like, the Bruce Wayne riff.
Yeah.
But then he looks ahead and the Batman one starts.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And I believe that's where it ends.
That's pretty much where it ends. We get a wrap up. We get an actual arc where we see he realizes that Batman doesn't need to represent vengeance anymore. He needs to represent hope because he's like, at the beginning during his monologue, he says something along the lines of, I'm not even sure I've made a difference in this city. And in this one, at the end, he says, it's been proven to me that I have made a difference and it's not at all what I thought it was going to be. he is seeing that he is inspired the Riddler to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And so he wants to represent hope and not vengeance. And it was weird. I liked it. I liked it a lot.
But yeah, so with that, the credits ensue, and then the end credit scene, you see that online chat pop back up. And it's just a question mark.
And it just says goodbye.
And then it says goodbye. And then there's a quick flash of something else.
I tried to tell the projectionist to roll it back, but he wouldn't.
And I mean, like, it is a split-second thing. Like, you probably have to go find somebody who's recording it illegally on a YouTube video.
It might be nothing.
We don't condone. Cut that.
It might be nothing. It might be nothing, but who knows? I don't think I really care if it's something.
I don't think it's that big of a deal. It's whatever. But all in all, guys, I love the movie. It wasn't an action movie that I thought it was going to be.
Talking through it again, I'm seeing that I did really love it.
I think Robert's one of our best Batman just because he's more detective than he is.
I mean, if we're talking about just straight up acting, it's hard. There honestly wasn't a lot there. Like, I think that's kind of
his best acting scene was when, like, he started freaking out when he was having the one-on-one conversation with the Riddler.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was where they were like, hey, go ahead and cut loose. But
don't say cut loose. I'm going to start saying goo chair.
No,
but
the audience doesn't know about goo chair.
That's
let's keep it that way.
Robert Pattinson did a much, like, everybody was like either, oh, this guy sucks, he's from Twilight, or they were absolutely in love with him before going into this. I feel like he's gonna be a really good fit for, like, the people that they still have in the situation. If anybody was really, like, not going to go see the movie because he's the one playing Batman, you should push that aside and go see this.
Yeah, I think a good test is that was not Robert Pattinson, that was Batman.
Yeah.
That was Batman on screen.
Yeah.
He was good.
What didn't you like about it?
I don't think it needed to be a 3-hour-long movie. I think they could have figured some stuff out with that. Some stuff to do differently. They could have very easily cut it down and not had it be about this, like, is my family innocent? Is my family guilty thing? They could have cut that out, and I think it still would have been a great movie. But I was way more hooked on the back half of the movie than I was the front half.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It feels like to me there were 3 movies, and they tried to fit all of them into one. They made it work, but it does seem long.
I think the only thing I truly disliked was, I'll say, the Riddler. There wasn't a lot of Riddler. It was just a lot of what he did and clues he left. And then when we finally get to him, he's not the best. He's just kind of a wiry, weird guy, and which I kind of like, but I'm not talking about the actor. I think the actor was kind of nothing until he was something, and when he was something, he was super hammy.
Yeah. At that point, like, there was something wrong with him, like, mentally. But, like, he felt like a smart and, like, interesting villain to me.
Yeah. And when I freaking hated that scene with him and the Joker. I can say that for sure.
Yeah.
It seemed like a studio decision.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that makes me think, is this fucking attached? Was that Jared Leto?
Dude, I couldn't tell. I
don't know.
Quick question, because I'm a known DC apologist. Could the fact that you thought this Riddler's performance was a little weak and one-dimensional be an intentional decision? Because the way you described that end credit scene seems to imply that this Riddler is like a copycat or a fake, and that the actual mastermind is still at large running this syndicate.
I don't even know if that's what the after credit scene was. It seemed almost like the after credit scene was just like a troll. Like, yeah. See ya.
It did.
Like, at the end of the movie, it was just like, see ya.
That makes a lot more sense to me. Like, again, DC, it felt like a statement movie, bringing it all the way back around. It felt like a statement movie from DC that we're not what Marvel's doing.
The confusing thing is they just want it both ways, right?
They want their big blockbuster universe. And they also want the Joker, and they want the Batman, and they want Shazam. Was that attached? I don't know.
That's attached.
Or the Suicide Squad movies. I don't fucking know if they're attached. I have no idea.
Well, Ben Affleck appears in Suicide Squad.
Oh, that's
and
right.
Jared Leto is in that, and he appeared in the Snyder Cut.
Oh, God.
But now there's 2 Jokers and 2 Batmans.
There's also,
potentially 3 Jokers.
There's 3 Jokers.
Something else I want to bring up.
Yeah. You've been relatively quiet because we've dominated.
You guys praise this movie for its darkness, its grittiness, its intensity. These are all words that you could probably use to describe the Snyder additions to the DC superhero canon, like Batman vs. Superman and Man of Steel, whereas those movies seem to have gotten mixed to poor reviews, and you guys seem to have really enjoyed this. So what is the difference despite all these movies
take this one.
taking on a similar tone?
I was thinking of something.
I think my take is that Zack Snyder is he loves the visual, and that means that he just kind of stumps himself on the writing part. He likes to set up a scene so that it looks good, but he doesn't care about the people in the scene. Okay. And I feel like this was definitely a story-driven movie where the people did the driving. It wasn't scenes doing the driving. And I think that's a good thing.
Okay.
With that, I would say that the cinematography of the film is very well done.
It was noticeable.
And yes, but it never seemed to take away from what was going on. If it just made it so much better. It accentuated everything.
Like that one scene that I'm thinking of is where they introduce the Batmobile, and there's that pop flare of the thing, and it's so creepy and silhouetted. And like that was a bit masturbatory, but the whole time I was like, oh shit, yeah, that's awesome. Oh yeah.
I think the way that I would describe the reason why this one worked is I'll use a reference that Scott, this is how you normally describe the Winter Soldier movie.
Sure.
It's a secret agent movie that involves Captain America. This was a detective movie that involved Batman.
I think the movie works because who did Man of Steel?
Zack Snyder.
Okay. So Zack Snyder looked at this superhero, Superman, and was like,
what if he was in the real world?
Yeah. But totally seemed to leave out
the fact that he's a superhero.
What makes Superman Superman.
Yeah, that is a very good point.
And so this movie was like, all right, this is Batman. This is what makes Batman Batman. So let's put him in the best scenario we can, a detective film, and let him be a fucking detective.
Like, Batman works in the real world because guess what? He's a human being who's just rich.
Yeah.
And that, I guess...
crazy.
And crazy. But, and I like that. I like... They touch on that. We kind of skipped over, but there's the scene, he was talking to Alfred about how he lost his parents, and he's so devastatingly scared of that kind of thing happening again, that he lost his cool and jumped to conclusions about how good his parents were when he thought Alfred was going to die. And that's him trying to explain why he is a bad detective. And he's like, rat with wings! Penguin!
Here's another thing that I kind of just recognized as we were talking through this. Batman vs. Superman was an action film that Zack Snyder forgot to turn the lights on.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the drama is just like melodrama. It feels a little artificial. Whereas when you guys described some of the scenes in this movie, it sounded like you were describing scenes in a horror movie.
Yeah.
And that's why it seems to me why the darkness and the grittiness work. It's because the tone of the film is different and complements that.
Go see the movie.
I recommend it.
Do it.
Especially if you're a Batman fan.
I'm not going to go see it a second time.
I think it deserves a second watch. Because the Riddler does say, like, the clues were all there. And I kind of want to go back and watch it just to
That's actually really
see if that's true or not.
It's like Knives Out.
Well, yeah. I will say, like Knives Out, mystery movies in general are like this, where they suffer from multiple viewings sometimes, where, I mean, you know the ending. So
yeah.
There's one that doesn't. Clue.
Clue's great. You know what? Screw this movie. Go watch
Clue, and then if you can't afford Batman, go watch Clue.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like a great recommendation to go out on.
Yeah.